Hello, hello. Welcome to the Enquiry podcast. This is a show that helps you to influence your reality to the greatest capacity in order to be able to use your life as the medicine that it is, to be able to know how to read the signposts and follow the breadcrumbs in order to express the fullness of who you are and what you're actually here for. I'm your host, Nerida Mills. I am a master psychosomatic practitioner, coach and facilitator, and it is my absolute pleasure to have you here. Welcome on board and let's get started. Okay, guys, welcome back to the Enquiry podcast. We are on, the fourth section or the fourth podcast of this little section around integrated living, specifically around the philosophies that really help in utilizing life as medicine. And the last area that I want to discuss in this little group is around optimization. Now, a lot of the time when I say optimization, people start thinking of, okay, I've got to bring in my time management, and I've got to bring in my goal setting, and I've got to bring in my breath work, and I've got to bring in my purified water, and I've got to bring in. And like, I don't know about you, but even just saying that out loud, the weight of it, we're all very busy people. We don't need to bring in anything. I think what it's actually about more so than anything is letting go. Without letting go of things that don't actually matter or don't actually move the needle, and I'm trying to incorporate those in through my time management and in through my goal setting, then it's just going to be complete chaos, right? We're now in a very unresourceful feminine. The masculine is going to have to work his absolute ass off to try and get everything done. He's never going to hit the mark, which means he's always going to feel underappreciated because the feminine is going to be frustrated at him the whole time and feel like she's never even heard because he's not actually doing all the things that are important anyway. And now we've got a war going on within ourselves that is going to be expressed in our external environment in a number of different ways. And, it's just unnecessary. So I think the easiest pathway through this whole mess that we all get kind of convoluted into is really letting go of that which you have no control over. And so optimization is really about refinement and really honing in with laser focus on the things that are actually going to make a difference in your life and on the things that you actually have control over. And obviously, if we look at what do I actually control, it's an interesting question because if, there's not a lot actually on that list. What we actually control is not necessarily our behavior even. So a lot of people will respond with, I control my own behavior, I control my own communication, I control, my outcomes, things like that. And I disagree with some of that. So behavior is an interesting one. Most behavior, I don't know what the percentage is, it's high. Most behavior is unconscious. So it's unconscious behavior run by unconscious strategies, run by unconscious beliefs and unconscious values. And then the conscious mind comes in and justifies it all away and says, no, that's exactly what I meant to do. And then, the conscious mind / the left brain gets to feel very, very proud of itself, and the ego gets a pat on the back. But it's completely delusional because it had nothing to do with it. What actually drove that behavior was adaptations and changes that we've made over the years, beliefs that have driven our behavior, unconscious kind of outcomes that we're looking for, aka safety and certainty. That's what actually drives the behavior. And how do we know this? One of the humans that I work with, Mitch Behan, he's absolutely incredible in the transformation space. And one of the things that, he says a lot, he's like, nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, today is the day I'm going to blow up my relationship. Today is the day that I'm going to completely blow up my job. We don't intentionally go and do these things. We don't intentionally go into a conversation and say the thing that then turns everything to shit. It's not a conscious choice. These things are not things that we would choose to do, but they are things that we justify. So if it's not something that we would have chosen to do necessarily, then we can really reflect and go, well, it's clearly not in our control, because I did it even though there was a part of my brain going, shut the fuck up, don't say the thing, don't do the thing, oh my God, step back, calm down, please don't. Oh, there we go, and it's done. So, it just shows that there is a lack of control around that. And so if we look at what do we actually control then now, I'm not really 100% in control of my own behavior. I'm very little. I'm really great at justifying it, but I'm not in control of it. Not in control of my thoughts. I don't know about you. I've spent a lot of time listening to my thoughts. And whilst we can influence the thought, we're not in control of the thought. So I can interrupt a thought and for a period of time at least, and redirect that thought again for a period of time. But then at some stage, the unconscious takes over again, and thoughts start running like the clouds through the sky on their own accord. So whilst we have some level of influence there, we certainly don't control it. So what do we control? Again, not a lot. It really comes back to, the meaning that we put on things. Even that is influenced by our past things. So realistically, we have these little moments of influence rather than control around anything. So I have a moment of influence where, I can take a breath and think of my outcome before I speak. I have a point of influence where I hear a thought that is detrimental to my being, and I can interrupt that thought, redirect it, and look at outcome. I have a moment of influence when a situation occurs, and I can reflect on how it's occurring for me rather than to me. There's these moments of influence that if we can really focus our attention on influencing those to the greatest of our ability, we have a phenomenal opportunity to influence the greater outcomes in our life, because what creates the outcomes in our life? Our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. And they are very much directed by our interpretation. So, what I'm going to encourage you to do as far as optimization is concerned is really let go of the delusion that you can control really anything else. I can't control my kids' behavior. I can't control my partner's behavior. I can't control world events. Certainly can't control world events. I have tried. It was unsuccessful. I can't control if the sun is going to shine tomorrow. Probability is high. I can't control the weather patterns. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's all of these things that we like to think that we have control over, and we get super righteous about how they should be or how they shouldn't be, even though we have no ability to influence what they actually are. And that takes up a lot of time, energy, effort, emotion. Now, I'm not saying that we should ignore the woes of the world, have awareness over them, but know where your influence lies. So I have awareness over what's going on in the world, and, I have empathy for what's going on in the world. I also know where my influence is greatest spent is integrating into my life the truth of my soul, so that I have the greatest capacity to impact outwardly and receive inwardly, and therefore be able to have a more resourceful way of potentially influencing some of those things outside of myself that I would like to see shifted or changed. Maybe I have a greater ability to invest some funds into a really great not-for-profit, or maybe I have a greater ability to bring an awareness campaign around, I don't know, whatever, different educational pieces. So it's really about how do I empower myself to have the greatest level of impact around the things that matter most to me. And it starts at home. Change starts at home. If you've got a war going on inside of yourself, you're going to be really righteous around the world, wars going on in the world around you, because it's a really great distraction from what it's actually showing you, which is yourself. All of these things outside of ourselves show us ourselves. So therefore, the greatest point of influence is the self. So if we want to optimize our experience, let's optimize ourselves. Sounds relatively simple. These things are often simple, but it doesn't make it easy at all. And I'm certainly not suggesting that it is. It's challenging to really acknowledge how I'm talking to myself, and have the courage to have that moment of influence in how I'm communicating. It takes a lot of courage to speak into what's working or what's not working in the face of potential rejection or, potential anger or frustration of somebody that you really love and want to be accepted by. These things take a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to stand up to authority. If that's within the scope of the outcomes that you're looking for, it takes a lot of courage to live the truth of who you are. Really bringing it back to what do I actually influence? Let's optimize what do I actually influence and let go of the rest. The rest of it is noise. It's really noise set to distract you from change. And, that is the mind's job. The mind's job is to keep you safe, aka keep you the same, which, it's doing a fantastic job at, I can guarantee you. My mind is brilliant at it, and it does distract in a lot of different ways. However, you can use that distraction point as an indicator that change is afoot. So one of the things that I look for if I am consciously trying to change something or to transcend an old behavior, thought pattern, if I'm looking at shifting the paradigm of my thinking and my expression, one of the things that I'm looking for is resistance. So I want to find the point of resistance. Now, I'm literally currently as I'm recording this, going through one such transition, right, where I'm really shifting the paradigm of my lived experience. And the amount of edge that I feel right now, I put it like, when you're on the gravitron and you're going around super fast and your face feels like it's just getting smacked against the edge. It's not super painful, but it's just uncomfortable and you can't really do anything about it. You're really pushed up against your edge, and it, what do you got to focus on in those moments? Your breath. That's pretty much it. And you've just got to wait for the ride to stop in order to be released from the edge. So, it's a normal experience when we're going through transition and change. But it's uncomfortable as fuck. So you can understand why people want to avoid it. But that is actually one of the things that I look for, that I'm on the right track. Am I getting pushed to an edge? Am I feeling like I'm at a point of it would be so much easier if I just went back into the other thing. Oh, it'd be so much easier if I went over here and had that conversation instead. It'd be so much easier if I just went and distracted myself with X, Y, and Z, right? So much easier to scroll on Instagram than it is to do the work that's going to actually move the needle. So much easier to just turn on another show on Netflix and just numb myself out rather than feel my feelings and actually acknowledge that I have some grief that I've got to let go of. There's all of these ways in which we can distract. So in order to optimize, what we want to do is we want to be efficient. We do not have forever. You will not live forever. We are mortal beings in a physical experience. And, depending on your belief system, you may or may not come back and have different lives, and that's fine. But we have one life in this experience with this level of or with this kind of identity and this perspective in this time with the people that we currently have around us. So, let's optimize that. Let's utilize that. And really, let's lean into moving through our edges as fast as possible rather than playing this game where we feel the edge and then we run back, and then we feel the edge and then we run back. And there's this cycle of frustration and pain. Whereas if you just lean into that edge and then keep on fucking leaning, keep on paying attention to what do you actually influence here? Where is your point of influence? What is life showing me in this moment? Where's the opportunity for growth? Where's the opportunity for healing? What am I being forced to adopt, to accept, to let go of, or to embrace? These are the questions that are really going to help you to shift through as fast as possible. And as efficiently as possible, with as much spaciousness as possible. And that's a huge piece of the letting go, is creating the space for your growth. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to leave that there. And I'd love any feedback that you have around this or any clarification points around that. I went on a bit of a rant. So, sometimes there can be some questions that come up in my rants. I'm more than happy to answer anything that you've got. Please do feel free to reach out again. I know I say this after most episodes, but I am here to support. If you have any questions or you want to know anything more around practically, how do I actually do this on a practical sense, Nerida? This thing's going on for my life or in my life. How do I utilize that? What are the points of influence that you recognize that I could be tapping into in order to really optimize the outcomes and the quality of my experience within my life. All right, gorgeous humans, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you soon.
So that's it from us. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I would like to really acknowledge you for spending the time to explore what creates your reality and how you can influence it best. If you have absolutely loved this episode and the ones before it, then I highly encourage that you jump onto my newsletter list. You'll be able to find the details of that in the show notes. You can also follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Nerida Mills. Really, really, really looking forward to speaking with you again soon. If you have any comments, insights, feedback, anything that you would like to share from these episodes, please feel free to email me at info@neridamills.com. Until next time.